If we get tangled in sheets, baby. Tangled in sheets.
Hey, what's up guys? It's Lucas and you're watching Fine Tuning. Today we're checking out the PRS SE DGT Standard. That's so many acronyms. Paul Reed Smith, Student Edition, David Grissom, Tremolo, Standard. Which is pretty self-explanatory, actually. So if you don't know, I am a huge fan of David Grissom's guitar playing, and his guitar for that matter. I have been using a DGT from 2015 since 2015. This is absolutely one of my favorite guitars, and I have thousands of hours on it, tons and tons of shows. Lots of records made with that guitar. So I'm intimately familiar with the design of the David Grissom tremolo guitar. So a few years ago, PRS came out with the SE version of David's guitar, which is pretty close to the core model. It's just made within the specifications of the import line. And this is essentially the same thing, but standard, as it always does in PRS, delineates that it is all mahogany. So there's no maple top involved. This is just an all mahogany guitar. And fair warning, I'm about to talk about tone wood, so if this just like trips your trigger, just go ahead and click off the video because I'm going to do it anyway. In my personal experience, guitars that are made mostly of mahogany tend to have not only what I would describe as kind of a warmer, darker sound, but also sort of a pronounced mid-range attack. And it really helps them sort of cut through in a mix, and it's a really kind of thick, warm, fat guitar sound. It's something I really like. And I'm happy to say that the DGT Standard is no exception to that. It is both warm, fat, and thick. There's like at least 3 C's on that, thick. As I said, this is very much like the SE DGT and conversely the just core model DGT, but I'll briefly go over the specs here with you. So we start with this beautiful PRS custom double cutaway shape, which I'm intimately familiar with and I absolutely adore. It's just a really cool vintage modern hybrid shape and I love that about it. The DGT guitars are a little on the thicker side. They're kind of getting closer to like a single cut type guitar in terms of thickness, which adds to the oomph in my opinion. So if we start down here at the body, you can see we are finished in a beautiful vintage cherry kind of look, very classic style color. And it is translucent, so you can see the individual pieces of mahogany. This guitar appears to be made of what looks like 3 pieces of mahogany. And actually, let me just go off on a tangent here for a second. You know what I really like in an affordable type guitar? Honesty. And that's one of the things I really dig about this, is that I can see like 3 individual pieces of mahogany, and there's no veneer or anything on it. Not that there's anything wrong with veneers, I just don't care for them. I would rather see the honest guitar. So if you're gonna have a guitar like this and not have expensive figured maple on it, then rather than do like a really thin veneer or something, I always prefer to see just the real wood, even if it's multiple pieces, or just paint it like an opaque color or a gold top or something like that. I would rather it just be honest. I don't know what it is about that I like, but I do, I like that. So we have 2 volume controls, one for each pickup. This one is for the bridge pickup. It's a little close to your hand. I prefer that. I have always loved that about my DGT because I am primarily a bridge pickup guy. I play rock guitar. This is the neck pickup volume, so you do have your individual volumes, and then this is a master tone. And on the master tone control, it is a push-pull, and you can split both pickups at the same time with that, which we'll get into later. You have a 3-way toggle switch, as you would expect to have with 2 pickups. Here you have the SE version of the PRS 6-point tremolo, which is just a really, really nice design. Even the SE version of the tremolo works really, really good. Moving up to the pickups, we have the PRS SE DGT humbuckers. These are exclusive to the DGT guitars in the SE range, so they have their own kind of sound. They are pretty similar to the core model DGT pickups, which I'm also intimately familiar with. And I have to say, they do the same kind of dynamic, breathy thing. They're really clear and full sounding, like great vintage humbuckers, but like a little bit more. They also split really well. And the other thing about these pickups is they're so close to the core model DGT pickups that, like, in a mix, especially if the guitar is double tracked or overdubbed at all, I would have a hard time telling you that I wasn't listening to core model pickups. They're that close, which is, in my opinion, a huge step in the right direction. Also new in the past couple of years, we're getting these cool kind of like oval sloped pickup rings, which just really add this nice like little high-end touch to the guitar. It's a tiny thing to go from that kind of more square bezel to this slightly more sloped thing, but it looks really, really nice and it feels good under your hand. Also, before we move off the body, they have in the past few years adopted kind of like a shallow violin carve thing on the top. So the SE guitars kind of started off pretty much flat. Then at some point they went to kind of a bevel, and here in the past few years now we've got a little bit of like a dish cut thing happening. It doesn't feel terribly different under your arm, but what's really cool is in the light, when you're looking at the guitar on stage or kind of like hanging on your wall or whatever, it kind of gives that appearance of that beautiful violin sort of dish carve thing, which I really appreciate. Moving up to the business end of the guitar, the neck here, where all the magic happens. It's an all mahogany neck with a 25-inch scale and a rosewood fingerboard. The neck profile is very, very similar to the core DGT, which again, as I said, I am very, very familiar with. It's so close that when I close my eyes and I play this end of the guitar, it's really hard to tell. I would have to sit and think about it. And another reason that it is that way is that the fretwork is immaculate. And I brag on PRS for this all the time. Their fretwork tends to be absolutely outstanding, which is so important to the way a guitar plays and feels and sounds. The fretwork needs to be great. So not only are the frets just completely perfectly level, they're also beautifully crowned and polished. The edges are treated. The fingerboard is very gently kind of rolled, and it just feels like an expensive guitar. And that's what I'm saying is that, you know, when I close my eyes and I feel this guitar, it feels just like an expensive guitar in my hand, which is what you want, especially for an affordable guitar, to be able to have it feel and sound like an expensive guitar. That's a lot of value, which I really appreciate. Also, let's talk about the inlays real quick. This doesn't have, they look just like dots, but they are crescent moon inlays, like the classic old school PRS moon inlays, which I love. I love how understated they are, because from a distance, it does just look like dots. This is a very kind of, I don't want to say plain, but a sort of understated looking guitar. And then when you get up close, you can really appreciate those tiny details like the moon inlays or these beautiful pickup rings or the shallow violin carve or whatever. It's a really nice understated piece of artwork, and I really like that about it. Moving up to the nut here, we have what appears to be the PRS proprietary nut formula. It's kind of a metallic black look. I'm not exactly sure what they use, but it kind of reminds me of like a graphite type nut. But it stays in tune very well. The nut slots are cut perfectly, both the height and the width, so the guitar stays in tune very nicely. I should say, I haven't done really any setup work to this guitar. The only thing I did is that I lowered the guitar's tuning 1/2 step to play with the track in the beginning. But other than that, I have done no adjustment or setup or anything. I haven't even changed the factory strings on the guitar. This is just how the guitar came out of the box, which is awesome. And then we also have the classic PRS 3-on-3 headstock shape, which I think at this point has kind of become iconic. These are non-locking SE tuners, but I'm happy to say there is an SE locking drop-in replacement for these that you can buy. And I think that you should, because it's just, you don't need it for tuning stability, but it does really make string changing go a lot faster, so I just recommend it. It's like an easy upgrade. And then the front of the headstock, we have PRS logo here with the little SE, and then we have DGT on the truss rod cover. So again, it's very understated, but also very elegant looking at the same time. All right, well, let's get into it and do some playing examples so you can hear what it sounds like. Real quick from a fellow guitar nerds, in case you want to know, I am, as usual, playing through my Blue Guitar Amp 1 Mercury Edition in multiple settings. I'll tell you when I change things. And I'm also using a wet, dry, wet setup with 3 cabinets. So the center pan of this is a completely dry sound, and the left and right have the effects on them. So anytime you hear a little bit of chorusing or delay or something like that, it's going to be on the left and right and not in the center. So this is best enjoyed in headphones or with some studio monitors, so you can really appreciate the width of the guitar. right, so my final thoughts on the PRS SE DGT Standard, which is still a mouthful every time I say it. The short version is, I think it's a great guitar. Not just for the money, I think it's just a really great guitar. I think if this was your only guitar, like if you just decided to purchase this and you needed this to play 5 nights a week in the cover band or just do Weekend Warrior, or you want to take this in a studio in Nashville or go play in front of 30,000 people, it'll do all of that. It's totally fine. This is a serviceable working guitar. It just happens to be an affordable, serviceable working guitar. I really have nothing negative to say about this guitar, actually. It plays great and it sounds great and it's very affordable. It's super high quality. I really like the aesthetic that they've gone for here, the real understated thing. That's my jam. It feels very, very close to the core DGT, which I'm very fond of. So to me, this is a no-brainer. Like, I'm a kind of tinkerer, modifier kind of guy. I do that to my guitars all the time, even the really expensive ones. And the only thing I could see myself doing to this guitar really is, putting on strap locks so that it plays nice with my straps, and then, maybe some PRS locking tuners for ease of string change. But you don't need that for tuning stability. It stays tuned fine just to make the string changes easier. But other than that, I mean, they really just stuck it. Oh, I do have a request to the SE department though. I think you guys are doing great work. I've been playing SE guitars for like 20 years now. And they have gotten closer and closer to the core models, better and better. The specs keep improving. I mean, they're really outstanding. But one thing you haven't done yet that I would love to see on both the SE and the S2 models is recessed plates on the back. It'd be awesome if the control cavity and the trim plate were recessed into the back like the core models. That's like a little thing, but I really like the way that feels, when you're wearing a t-shirt or something on the back. That'd be my only request. Other than that, I think you guys are absolutely nailing it. So of course, I always recommend if you have a local PRS dealer, go check one of these guitars out in person so you can really kind of explore the guitar and see how it feels to you and if it's the right kind of guitar for you. But in terms of quality control, this guitar was mailed to me directly from PRS's shipping department, and it just came out of the box playing and sounding great. So I think you're probably safe to order one of these, from Sweetwater or Zounds or whatever in the mail. I think you're probably fine. Thanks to Eric at PRS for sending this guitar for me to check out and do a video on, and until next time, I will catch you guys later.